It takes a certain kind of player to appreciate the Neptunia franchise. A blend of self-aware humor, fourth wall-breaking antics, JRPG tropes turned inside out, and of course a hefty dose of fan service. Since its debut in 2010, Hyperdimension Neptunia has carved out a niche that's both mocked and celebrated, never pretending to be more serious than it is. But every so often, a spin-off emerges that dares to be stranger than the mainline games, and Neptunia Riders vs. Dogoos fits the bill to a T. At first glance, it sounds like a joke. A biker gang of anime goddesses facing off against hordes of sentient slimes. But beneath the absurd premise lies a surprisingly robust and entertaining gameplay loop, blending arcade-style vehicular combat with beat-em-up mechanics and a racing-style campaign progression. It's fast, it's chaotic, it's dripping in pastel-coloured madness, and somehow, it kinda works. Developed by Compile Heart in collaboration with Idea Factory and published globally with minimal delay, Riders vs. Dogoos is another entry in the growing Neptunia multiverse that breaks genre conventions. This time veering off-road into full-throttle action comedy. Whether you're here for the characters, the meme-filled dialogue, or genuinely curious if a slime can be a viable boss enemy, there's a lot to unpack. And yes, there is in fact a giant doggo mech. But novelty can only carry a game so far, so the big question becomes, is Neptunia Riders vs. Dogoos just another chaotic spin-off, or does it actually deliver the kind of gameplay that fans, and maybe even newcomers, can sink their teeth into? At its core, Riders vs. Dogoos is an ambitious fusion of two seemingly incompatible genres, a high-speed mission-based racing game and a beat-em-up action brawler. The result is a gameplay system that shouldn't work on paper, but kind of does, largely due to its willingness to lean fully into its ridiculous premise and consistently throw new variations at the player. You begin the game by choosing your rider, essentially one of the familiar CPU goddesses or supporting characters, each outfitted with their own bikes, stats, and ultimate move. The bikes themselves serve more than just transportation, they're an extension of the character's fighting style. Vert, for example, rides a sleek, spear-mounted cruiser that favors charge attacks and AoE sweeps, while Nepgear handles a nimble bike designed for rapid combos and evasive maneuvers. Each rider feels meaningfully distinct, encouraging experimentation and tactical loadouts as missions grow in complexity. Combat takes place in sprawling, obstacle-laden arenas where the Dogoos spawn in waves. These aren't your average slimes. They come in various elemental types, sizes, and occasionally in humorous cosplay, like a Dark Souls Dogoo or a stealth camouflage Dogoo. The game uses a combat system reminiscent of Dynasty Warriors, but enhanced by vehicular momentum. You can drift, boost, and even ramp off terrain to launch aerial combos mid-bike. The results are gloriously messy. One moment you're uppercutting a slime into orbit, the next you're grinding along a pipe while laying down a trail of fire. Racing elements are seamlessly woven in. While the game isn't a racer in the traditional sense, certain missions involve time trials, checkpoint chases, or boss fights that double as high-speed duels. One standout level has you tearing through a collapsing Dogoo hive while the slime kaiju barrels after you. Think Resident Evil 3 meets F-Zero with a coat of rainbow paint. It's this ability to consistently retextualize its mechanics that keeps Riders vs. Dogoos feeling fresh longer than expected. Progression is handled via a mission grid similar to the Monster Hunter quest board. Completing missions earns you parts, skins, and skill chips, which can be used to modify both your rider and their bike. Customization is surprisingly deep, allowing you to create builds that favor speed, damage, output, crowd control, or utility support. The only real downside to the gameplay loop is repetition. While the developers put in effort to vary objectives, the core loop remains spawn in, beat Dogoos, win. Later levels introduce environmental hazards, shielded enemies, and scripted events that shake things up, but the game occasionally falls into the trap of quantity over quality, especially during multi-phase missions that drag on longer than necessary. Still, the gameplay is responsive, and variety is solid, and the absurdity keeps things from ever feeling too stale. Neptunia Riders vs. Dogoos proudly embraces its over-the-top aesthetic. The visuals are a kaleidoscope of saturated colours, anime-style cut-ins, explosive visual effects, and outrageously detailed character designs. It's campy, it's chaotic, and kind of beautiful in its own way. Character models are among the best the series has ever featured. Every rider is gorgeously rendered, complete with expressive facial animations, and customizable riding outfits that can be unlocked or purchased. Of course, via DLC. Bikes are similarly well designed. Environmental variety is impressive though, especially for a spin-off. The game runs at a steady 60 FPS on PS5 and PC, with occasional drops doing heavy particle effects. The Switch version fares reasonably well, though sacrifices had to be made in texture quality and load times. That said, the stylized art direction helps disguise some of the technical limitations. Fan service is present and unapologetic. Outfits, poses, transformation sequences, yet it rarely overtakes the tone of the game. It's cheeky, and more about parodying the genre than indulging in it. That balance, once again, is a hallmark of the Neptunia series at its best. Musically, the game delivers exactly what fans expect. Energetic, high-octane tracks that mix J-pop, chiptune, EDM, and battle anthems into a chaotic sonic soup. Each level has a distinct theme that often plays off the visual tone. The hard techno track accompanies cyber zones, while playful ska pop fills the most whimsical areas. The title screen theme, Riders of Nep, is already a fan favourite and a certified banger. The soundtrack adapts dynamically during missions, escalating intensity as enemy waves build up during boss fight encounters. Some tracks even remix classic Neptunia music in interesting ways, adding another layer of nostalgic fare. Voice acting is solid across both the Japanese and English dubs. The cast returns in full force, with industry veterans like Melissa Farn, Erin Fitzgerald, and Christina V bringing their usual energy, and writing gives them plenty to work with. Quippy banter, absurd monologues, and fourth wall breaking sarcasm abound. Sound effects are bombastic, and occasionally overwhelming engine roars, slime splats, combo counters, and audience cheers all compete for your attention. Whilst the chaos matches the tone of the game, you do find yourself turning down the effects volume for clarity's sake. If you've ever played a Neptunia title, you know what kind of narrative to expect, and Riders vs. Dogoos doubles down on that absurdity. The plot kicks off with a mysterious anomaly pulling several CPU goddesses into a distorted alternate dimension ruled by slime-based creatures. The only way to escape? Form a motorcycle gang and fight your way out, of course. The story is told in visual novel-style segments between missions, packed with long dialogue exchanges, comedic timing, and meta-references. Characters comment on gaming tropes, criticize all their side quests, and even question whether the game's budget can support a proper ending. At one point, Neptune literally tries to skip a boss fight via a debug menu, only to accidentally summon Glitch Doggo, and one of the hardest enemies in the game. Each rider has their own story route, complete with branching choices that affect both the ending and some mid-game cutscenes. These aren't massive narrative forks, but they offer enough variation to justify multiple playthroughs. Character-specific missions explore their personalities in fun ways. Noir's route, for instance, involves taking the gang's organization too seriously, complete with a parody of biker film tropes. The game's humor won't be for everybody. It's niche, self-referential, and sometimes leans a bit too hard into absurdism, but for those familiar with Neptune's satirical DNA, it's some of the sharpest writing the series has seen in years. Riders vs. Dogoos is an unapologetic game for fans. From returning characters to obscure references to previous spin-offs, there's a sense that the developers made this game as a love letter to long-time Neptunia devotees. Easter eggs are everywhere, items from Mega Tag Mention, character designs from Neptunia U, even voice lines nodding to the original PS3 releases are included. A hidden retro mode allows you to switch the UI to mimic the look of Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1, complete with CRT filters. That said, the game makes an effort to be accessible. New players may miss some of the references, but the core gameplay is straightforward and the story is standalone. The glossary entries can help you catch up, and the writer tutorials are well designed. The fan service in both terms of character content and franchise callbacks is thick, but never fully excludes newcomers. If anything, it may inspire them to delve deeper into this Neptunia rabbit hole. Neptunia vs. Dogoos isn't a perfect game. It's repetitive at times, some missions drag, the camera can be really finicky when dealing with larger bosses, and the UI can feel cluttered during intense battles. The performance on Switch is clearly inferior to other platforms, and as always with this series, the humor may alienate those unfamiliar with its tone. But where it succeeds, it does so with flair, heart, and chaotic joy. The gameplay is surprisingly refined, the customization is as always deep. The art direction is a visual treat, and the story is packed with charm. It's a celebration of everything that makes Neptunia weird and wonderful. Now at 120 miles per hour on a bike with rocket fists. This is a game that knows exactly what it is, who it's for, and makes no apologies about it. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel, but it sure as hell strapped that wheel to a bike and gave it a transformation sequence and rode it off into battle against an army of anime slime monsters. If you're a long-time Neptunia fan, Riders vs. Dogoos is a must-play spin-off that ranks among the best in the franchise has to offer. For newcomers, it's a wild ride that might just charm you into becoming a fan. For more news, reviews, and previews, keep it locked right here to 1UP Games.